So I completely forgot everything I wanted to talk about.
You must make a great dungeon master. I forgot everything, guys. I'm sorry. Just roll some dice.
Forgot what I was running this weekend. What game are we doing again?
It's been a hard month actually for running games. I haven't had an actual game in like 3 weeks. We've been sick.
Yeah.
I haven't done AL but once. It's been rough.
We're both kind of in the same thing. Like I only get to run every 2 weeks anyway, as it is, and then I was at LARP this weekend, so I didn't get to run anything. But fortunately, one of my players decided to run some Dungeon Crawl Classics for all of my other guys for the first time, and let me pull up the exact death count.
Okay.
from that.
And while you do that, who are you?
Oh, I'm the Grumpy Dungeon Master Jay.
And I am.
I don't know who you are. Who are you? You are not.
You're
You're not Craig. I know that.
You're supposed to tell me who I am this week.
Oh well, I guess it is that kind of week. And my co-host, the Grumpy Dungeon Master Christopher.
Yeah,
I got it right. So he ran the module in the back of the book.
So this is the Dungeon Crawl Classics main book, right?
Yeah, this is straight out of the core book that he ran.
Okay.
There were 7 character deaths.
Right.
Yeah, our buddy Jacob, he lost 3 characters like right out of the gate. I think there were 3 of those deaths were in the first room.
Okay.
Yep. And then he said that that it kind of became like a Scooby-Doo mystery after that, because everybody after shit went real bad just ran in opposite directions.
I mean, yeah.
You know, you totally split the party, and yeah, it just got worse from there.
I can't help but think that, like, if you're in a real life situation where, like, you're in a room and there's, like, let's say 20 people there, and half the people die before, like, you guys are able to leave the room, just how freaked out you would be.
Oh,
Like,
I'd run in a random direction too.
like, it was one of the Saw movies. I think it was the third one.
I didn't know they made more than one.
They made like 1,700
No,
or something
I'm
like that.
kidding.
It's really...
I only ever saw the first one. It wasn't that
So
good.
the first one's considered a classic because of the twist ending.
Yeah.
And then the legacy of Jigsaw went on for a while, but I remember I saw a couple of them. I'm not really into like straight up gore horror. I know a lot of people like it, so it's not really a movie for my taste. But I do like the occasional Freddy or Jason movie.
Oh yeah, those are camp more than gore.
Yeah.
Though.
So the one I remember that I actually liked was the Saw, where basically they were in a house, and like the house was just like a full like puzzle traps and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And like they all wake up, everyone has like amnesia, doesn't know how they got there in the first room, and like the first room that they're in, like 4 or 5 of the people there get killed. Like, and I'm like, you can't tell me that they think the best idea that they have at that point in time is not just like to start busting through the plaster and the studs of a wall to just make a hole to get your way out of. Now, the best idea is to run through the torturous house of horrors and death. That's the best idea. Just go crazy in one direction. Now, I say that as a person on the outside with, logical thinking, not in there watching people get murdered and played.
My concern would be that they had added acid or some shit into the plaster, and you kick it in and buckets of it just spill out on you, or razor blades or something horrible.
That's why you convince someone else to punch it first.
Well, yeah, that's why you just grab somebody and throw them through it, see what happens.
That's a lot of picture for your guys in Dungeon Crawl Classic. Like 4 of them die the first room, and they're just like, okay, well, I'm going this way.
Yep. Let's just split up, see how this goes. And honestly, it kind of makes sense, because you're in Dungeon Crawl Classics. You're starting off as 0 level characters. You have no adventuring skills. You're literally farmers and blacksmiths. So you end up in whatever situation that you're in, and you lose 3 people out of somewhere between 15 to 20 of them in the first room, yeah, that's definitely gonna make you think twice about life choices.
Yeah, it's a mentality that is unique to the American culture, I think, where like you always see the hero, get presented those big challenges and prevail through those big challenges, or the team prevails through the big challenges. Not without hardship, and it's not 100% easy, unless you're The Rock in one of The Rock's movies. Uh, but generally, like we have this like motion, like, hey, we're gonna be the hero. We're gonna be the person that gets in there and solves all the problems with the machine gun and our fists, and yeah, we're gonna win. And that's just not reality,
America, fuck yeah. Yeah, that's not
I,
just that truly it's not just an American thing though. The whole hero trope has been around as long as
yeah,
stories have been around.
but I mean, it's true. But I mean, each culture is different. But I think ours, we we create that John Wayne, solo hero wanderer mythos better than most have, or we've refined it to a point now where it's just become this weird trope, and everyone is sitting there with a machine gun in their house going, "Yep, when the zombies come, I'm gonna survive the apocalypse." Like, no, you're not, pal.
Oh no, you and
No,
your
you're not.
you and your 450-pound diabetes ass is not going to survive the apocalypse.
I mean, I'm 6'9", I'm 420 pounds. I am zombie chow. I would
Yeah,
love to think that I'd get out there and murder a bunch of zombies, but I just know that
and
since I can't run to the mailbox, I'm not going to be able to kill more than like a zombie or two before
no,
I get bitten.
oddly enough, when I said that, I wasn't even talking about you.
Well, I know, but it's like
Yeah,
I'll put it realistic. I'll run around and hit people with a boffer all weekend, and I know how tired I get just doing that.
yeah.
Yeah, give me some adrenaline, so double that performance, I guess, just from the adrenaline alone.
Yeah, but after
Yeah,
that
I'm still down.
after that 2-3 minutes of adrenaline wears off, it's over with.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you're done for. Yeah,
I'm in reasonably good shape, and even I understand in a zombie apocalypse, I'm probably chow. I might live for a couple of weeks, but I'm not going to survive it.
that's the first. That's why the first rule of Zombieland is always the best rule: cardio.
Cardio, yeah. I've actually taken up running. I'm trying to work on my cardio for that reason, because that apocalypse is right around the corner.
Oh, one can only hope, I guess.
uh, but anyway, I only brought this story up about the character deaths because I actually wanted to talk about lethality in gaming systems. Um,
Yeah.
so Dungeon Crawl Classics takes it is on the extreme end, at least at level 0, the starting character. It is at the extreme end of lethality.
Hmm.
I know the rules change a little once you get to first level. At 0 level, when you hit 0 hit points, your character's just dead. There's no coming back. Once you hit first level, then you get like a round per level of your character to get healing before you actually die. So it's not quite as lethal, but it's still kind of on the more extreme end. Then you've got 5th edition, which in my estimation is kind of on the opposite spectrum, where it's very difficult to kill characters. And I say that with the caveat of, if you are actively trying to kill characters as the game master, you can just do it.
Well, I mean, that kind of goes for any system, but yeah.
Yeah, but following modules, it becomes hard. Just we'll take, like, most of the modules that are out there. It becomes harder. You could still do it if you're attacking downed characters. At that point, it gets a lot easier. But 5e is still kind of a harder system to kill characters off, which is why I'm always impressed when you manage to kill like 3 per game session.
Well, a lot of it just comes just from the rule where if you take, your hit points negative at level 1, you get someone that has like 1 hit point, and then they take 9 damage, and they're dead. And
Yeah,
that's I wouldn't say it's a flaw of D&D. It's just the reality of it.
yeah.
That's where a lot of the deaths coming from.
At
If
least
someone
for
does something,
you. Yeah,
yeah, someone does something stupid. I do a normal attack, but you were already down a second ago. They brought you back up. I don't attack down characters or anything like that.
yeah,
Um, I do only when like it helps up the drama, but I've never like magic missiled a body before.
Oh, you got hit with 3 magic missiles. There's all your death saves. Goodbye.
Yeah, that's kind of a dick thing to do. If I know that I want to bait it, I guess the only time I would ever use that is when I know there's a high level wizard in the party and I want to bait out the counter spell that they have for something else. But even then, that situation is very rare because then you need to be able to cast 2 spells in a turn. So I don't know. But yeah, I mean, you can kill a lot of people very easily. I think lethality, it doesn't really have a place unless it's set up ahead of time that lethality is going to happen and be a common occurrence. So,
well, it's very much dependent on the system and the setting.
Well, not even that. Like I said, the setting and the system that there's varying degrees of success there. There are systems that have harder death saves than the other. The one I was thinking of recently was the Shadow of the Demon Lord system, which is like a 4E 5E hybrid, and the death save there is a D6, and 1 is a straight you're dead, 6 is a save, and 2 through 5 nothing happens.
Yeah.
No saves, no successes. So, I mean, yeah, you could impose a harder death save, or you could, be active in trying to trigger death saves. And that's just all how hard the DM wants to make it. Now, lethality is built into 5th edition. Is very rare, like the disintegration beam and whatnot. There are a couple of traps that do it. But I think it all comes down to the session 0. If you tell your players, hey, there's going to be a possibility, a good possibility, low possibility, a possibility of instant death for your characters, you just let them know that's a thing. So, like, if you're going through Tomb of Annihilation, there's a couple traps in there that do a boatload of damage, but don't necessarily kill your players, okay? And there are some that do an extremely massive amount of damage that most assuredly would kill the players unless they have some, like, otherworldly amount of hit points and damage mitigation some way.
Yeah.
And there's a couple traps that say if you get reduced to 0 hit points, you're dead. And that's the 5e kind of lethal trap there.
Yeah,
if you're reduced to 0 hit points, you're dead.
Tomb of Annihilation is designed to murder characters. Like it's supposed to be hard mode for 5e.
Yeah, but a lot of monsters do it too. Like even as the zombie beholder has the if you're brought to 0 hit points, you die.
Yeah,
kind of thing. So it all kind of like you have to, as a player, you have to accept that some of the monsters are designed that way, and some of the traps are designed that way. But the DM is the one who basically says, okay, every square is going to be a blade trap that's going to try to kill you, versus the one that's in Tomb of Annihilation that can actually do that.
Yeah, and another thing about lethality, it's one thing to lose a character, but I have absolutely played with people who cannot handle character death, and I don't know if you've ever had that issue with players who just can't handle losing a character.
Not can't handle, but more like very distraught that it happened. Like, I killed one of my wife's characters during the Al campaign, and it was her very special character. It was the one she made, the one she was really happy with, and she got through like 3/4 of the whole campaign before essentially a beholder zapped her and killed her.
Right.
And
yeah, and I think
I give them outs too. Like I say, hey, it's not impossible for you to bring this character back, but if you want to bring the character back, we can work on a way to bring it back, or you can have it be dead, have it just be part of the story, and make something else. Because honestly, a lot of the times, if you lose a character, especially in an ongoing campaign, bringing a new character in is rough and doesn't always work well. I had that happen recently, where one of my players brought in a character that just didn't kind of fit the campaign setting. So we kind of had to retire it and make a new one.
I mean, you've played a character that literally just ate people's heads. Sometimes characters don't actually just fit.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
That was a good character though.
Yeah, the thing is, and that's another thing I guess that is kind of good about 5e. 5e is designed to be run in campaign mode. And if you're running in a campaign, you really don't want to be killing off characters, because the more of them you kill, the harder it is to keep that campaign properly going. Because with the campaign, you're probably trying to tell a story along the way.
Right.
And so, like, 5e is very, very good about keeping characters alive specifically for that purpose. A game like Dungeon Crawl Classics, which I'm really diving into now, is not. You can run it as campaign, but it's really designed to be very just freeform. So losing characters along the way is kind of expected.
Yeah.
Like, the whole game and system are built for it. Yeah.
Less of you're building a character, but you're kind of building a troop of characters.
Yeah, like your character right out of the gates is completely random. Like, it doesn't absolutely have to be. It says that you, as the game master, and all can decide if you want to do it that way, but it's highly suggested that everything is just rolled up randomly. And at that point, whatever character survives that first adventure becomes first level. And then like, one of the players who was played in my buddy Mike's game the other day had 3 characters that survived. So he now has 3 first level characters to pick from when going forward. And if one,
Right.
if one of them gets to that first level adventure and then gets whacked, well, you've got a couple of others to play back up with.
Yeah, that system really doesn't, like, as a player, interest me. I haven't really played it to really say yes or no, but I like developing a character with personality and desires and things, and playing that one character up
Well, it's
to
more
its fullest. Yeah.
this goes back to our conversation we had with Luke Gygax, though, because remember, he told the story about where his dad murdered off his 8th level ranger or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what this is, though. You might play that 0 level character and it survives this first dungeon, and then you play it for another 2 years, and it just keeps surviving and surviving. And by this point in Dungeon Crawl Classics, you're 5th level, which is ungodly powerful. And then you fail a saving throw. And you've got a lot of time invested in this character. You have built this character up. There is a history, there's a story, you've got a background and lore and all the items that he had collected and all the things that he had done, all the people he knew, and bam, that is just gone. And
that's one trope that I never actually have experienced in real life. Is someone going, "Oh, I got an 11th level paladin that I've been playing," and blah blah blah. Because you see it all the time. Like, I saw it in, like, a Young Sheldon show recently. I've been watching Suits recently, and they brought it up in that. Like, what's it? I used to play during the summer of '76. I played D&D all the time. I had a 12th level dwarf, and
Oh yeah.
I don't want to bring it up again. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Like, I've never heard that. Never so kind of, I have a 13th level fighter that I've been playing and bringing around places. Even through AL, like, no one's came up to me and go, "Hey, I got a new AL character. It's a level 8 character I've been playing for a number of years in different AL campaigns." Like, no one's even done that to me.
Yeah, and that once again, harkening back to the Luke Gygax conversation, that is how he kind of grew through the game. That had kind of just fallen off. It definitely fell off by 3rd edition, but it was sort of going by the wayside with 2nd ed. That was primarily, I think, just done for tournament play or people who would go to conventions.
Yeah.
Like, when you're at your homebrew table, I have never experienced the I'm bringing my character from this game to this game. I've definitely experienced the I've been playing a character for many years, but it's always with kind of the same group of people.
Right. And the only thing I think that would be close to that would be the like, Acquisition Incorporated group.
Yeah, that's what I was
Because
thinking.
they had, like, their main heroes that they've been playing for a number of years, all throughout 4th and all throughout 5th edition now.
Yeah.
So, like, when Benjamin Bronzebottom was no longer a part of the group, the group felt that. It was like, oh, now you're losing your frontline fighter. What are you gonna do? And having the Twitch stream and with the C team and everything kind of go on, you can kind of you can become attached to those characters even as a audience member and watch them grow that way. But that's as close as I think we can do nowadays. And I'm guessing Critical Role probably can do that as well too. But
Sure, yeah.
again, I've never seen Critical Role to comment on that.
Uh, on a slightly different topic, have you seen I want to say it's not a scandal, but just sort of the blowback heading towards Critical Role because of their Atlas Obscura ripping off another game called Blades in the Dark?
No.
Okay, so Atlas Obscura is one of the two new games that they're releasing, and they've run a few online sessions of it, and
Yeah.
it's like a Victorian era steampunk fantasy style game, but apparently the rule system and the character sheets and everything are very very similar to another game called Blades in the Dark.
Okay.
So a lot of people have been giving them crap online. And I only found out about this today, so I looked into it a little bit. And it's really not much of a thing. Apparently, they in the Atlas Obscura book they even reference that they took some of the ideas from Blades in the Dark, and the creator of Blades in the Dark has publicly stated, "Yeah, that's cool, go for it." So
Okay.
yeah, so he's the creator of Blades in the Dark is fine with it. Nobody seems to have a problem with it, but the internet does what the internet does and decides to be hateful towards them and say you're stealing from other people. Literally everything throughout history has pulled from other places to create things. Like that's just how the world works. And if the creator of something gets acknowledged and says they're cool with it, there's not anything there. There's nothing else to say about it.
Yeah, and that happens a lot.
Oh, I know. It's just the internet enrages me at times.
That happened a lot too, but in a different way with like Cyberpunk, where like they were, claiming like, oh, everyone there is just like, a white male and, not giving, credit to minority groups and whatnot, and then they started insulting the creator of it. And then the creator's an African American guy. He's the one that created
Yeah.
the Cyberpunk
Yep.
setting. He's like, no, you haven't read the books, obviously.
Yep. And
Uh,
the cyberpunk setting was taken from a couple of different authors, William Gibson being the primary one. Yeah, like at least the whole cyberpunk genre came from his writings.
yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's hard to create something new, but it's. I mean, if there's no legal basis for it, and if they reference it and the original author says it's fine, and hell, they probably gave him kickback or something, if they copied too
Yeah,
much of it. But I don't know. People just get upset about some things. I mean, I would hate it if somebody ripped off a system that I used, because I spent a lot of time, developing it.
yeah,
But I guarantee you, any system that I develop right now is going to be similar, unless you're using. Well, that doesn't even work anymore because Dungeon Crawl Classic uses dies that aren't
yeah.
standard
Use
D20 or
yeah,
D6s.
yep,
You know, there's only so many base systems out there that make sense.
yeah. You for in general, you only have so many ways with games and dice that you can go. I mean,
Yeah.
the standard set that you use for D&D tends to cover all of the bases. And then a lot of games simply use D6s. I know the White Wolves simply use D10s. So, yeah, like, there's only so many things you can do with that sets of dice. Dungeon Crawl Classics adding in the D5 and the D7 and the D24 are like, personally, I'm not even a fan of that. And I don't hate that they did it, but they could have made the game just fine without it.
It had some variation, and so it's nice. But like at the end of the day, I find myself just using D6s or D8s most of the time.
Yeah.
D20s always. I did see something recently, speaking of number systems. It's completely off topic, but, ADD, woo. You know how we have a base 10 counting system, right?
Yes.
So we count from 1 to 10, and then, 11 to 20, blah, blah,
Yep.
blah. Everything's 10s base, essentially. But I found out that more ancient civilizations had to use a 12
Correct.
count
Yes.
numbering system. And I never knew why until someone actually explained it to me in one of the podcasts that I was watching.
I
Um,
heard why years ago, but I don't recall the answer.
so if you look at your fingers, like you look at your palm,
Uh-huh.
okay, and you like crook your fingers have 3 like indents to them:
Oh, okay.
the tip,
I got it.
middle, and but the base.
So they
So that's
didn't
how they
use the
would count.
thumb? Why is
No,
it not? It
the
should be
thumb is the pointer
15.
for counting.
Oh, okay, I see.
So you start with your
Huh.
pinky. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Yeah,
9, 10,
yeah,
and
okay,
12.
that works. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's how they would do it, and then they would basically, use the other hand to do a 12. So you'd have 12 and a 12. So when you get through one, then you do it again
Yep.
and do it again. Like that's interesting. Like that's something you can feed in for lore.
I mean,
That
honestly,
makes
that's
sense.
yeah, I guess before the abacus was created, that's a fairly solid way of counting to decently high
Oh yeah,
numbers.
yeah. This is back when people didn't know what addition was considered witchcraft.
Yeah.
A witch.
Stone him! Stone them!
I remember, butt is a unit of measure.
That is true. That is true. Uh, so
12
real,
butts big.
real quick before we move on to whatever you wanted to talk about, I was looking for all these 0 level funnel modules to run for Dungeon Crawl Classics, and I found one of them called Feyhard, and it's literally just a ripoff of Die Hard.
That sounds great.
I'm trying to get a copy of this thing, but apparently it takes place inside of a fairy mound, and
Called
it's
Fairy Toma Plaza.
no, it's called Nakmarb, but yeah, it should have been Faratoma Plaza.
Fairy Toma Plaza. Make the change.
But anyway, all right.
So, the few things I had to talk about is I was in my downtime this weekend I was watching D&D TikToks because Reddit's gone the way of the dodo now.
Sound exactly like my fucking D&D players who keep sending D&D TikToks to each other.
Well, that's all we can do now because Reddit's gone. So
Reddit's gone. What are you talking about?
it's a big drama. Reddit is now gone dark, and all the D&D subreddits that I would go to get data and information and discussion have all shut down. So Reddit's gone for
I mean,
who knows how long.
I just pulled up Reddit. I'm on it right now.
Oh yeah, the website still exists, but no one's posting new content.
Oh, all right. That's the largest forum in existence.
Yeah, they tanked it. And it's basically the short of it is at the end of this month they're going to start charging anyone who's third party actual money to make API calls to the platform, like 24 cents per call, which is
What is a
or
call?
0.24 cents per call. And
What is a call? Like a
to not
phone
get
call?
not get too technical, like you have an application that basically is like an interface, like a special interface for Reddit, like a different one. There's one out there called Apollo, which sort of started all this. Well, they have to pull the data down from Reddit. They don't actually go to the Reddit website and like scrape the data down and then post it back up. It'll take too long. So there's a back end, and they use what's called API calls to pull the data from the back end seamlessly. For example, we used to post to Twitter through our WordPress site for our
Right.
podcast
Yeah.
when it gets released. Well, that can't happen anymore because the APIs cost money now to go to Twitter, and
WordPress refused to pay
WordPress
it.
isn't going to pay it. Well, they're now charging Reddit's now charging third-party apps money, like 0.24
Okay.
cents
So they took
per API call.
Got it. So they took the Elon Musk route.
Yeah, and just when you're making thousands upon thousands of API calls a minute,
Yeah. No,
it's impossible. So, anyways, the whole site's kind of gone dark to protest that. So all I have left is now D&D TikToks. And
it's fair.
There's another podcast out there that has a couple of like little short videos, and their actual podcast that they make and produce.
Yeah.
It's called Tales from the Stinky Dragon.
Okay.
Okay. And the short of it is this. And this kind of will lead to what I want to talk about. Is they have their little game that they run, and it's very theater of the mind, but it's also very comedic. So like there was one instance where they had their 4 characters, and one character was just like, "Oh, I'm just gonna jump out the window." No reason why. There wasn't anything in the room. Just I'm gonna jump out the window. And the other guy's like, "Oh yeah, just seeing him jump out the window, I'm gonna run and jump out the window too." I don't know what's going on, but I gotta follow my friend.
Right, obviously something dangerous is going on, and I have to help him out.
Yeah, and so the next guy's like, "Oh no, I'm gonna throw a rope on the thing and jump out the window and you start rappelling down." And the other guy's like, "Well, I don't want to be left behind, so I'm jumping out the window too." So the DM's like talking them through what they're doing as they're falling. One's trying to make a parachute out of his cloak, another one's trying to use spells to basically cast feather falling on them. The other one basically is getting out his handcuffs and handcuffs himself, and he's trying to handcuff the other person that's using feather fall on the way down so he can attach to them. And then the other one's like, I can't do anything, so I'm just gonna teleport back into the room that we were just in, and then slowly walk away. So it's a very comedic style of game, and it's very very funny. You can go to their YouTube, just search for Stinky Dragon Pod, and what they're doing for their shorts is they have like all these like little puppets that they made to kind of like animate out the circumstances that they're in. It's very funny.
Okay,
very hilarious.
I like that. That's cool.
So definitely worth giving that a watch. But then again, this is my question, and I know I only answer probably for us is like, how often do your games just evolve into just straight Three Stooges level comedy?
With my Dungeons and Dragons campaigns that I am running, very rarely, because my players, and at least my current players, understand that that's not what I want from the game. Like I try to make it a fairly serious game. Not to say there isn't humor, because there absolutely is, but in general, I try to make it a fairly straightforward game. Now, if I run one shots, yeah, those are going to devolve into some nonsense.
Now, when you're running your normal game and it devolves into Three Stooges comedy, do you just let it go on, or do you squash it out?
I'll let it go on for a little bit. Like, yeah, and my players are really good at reining themselves in if it does happen. And sometimes the situation is just too ridiculous to not let it happen. Yeah, I'm not going to squash my players having fun, because that's why we are all there.
Right. I was thinking about that too, because I was kind of watching, like I said, the Stinky Dragon podcast, and just like that game looks like a ton of fun just to be a part of. And Acquisitions Incorporated were like the same way too.
Yeah,
where they had like their one thing, and like it's just dick and fart jokes the entire way through.
I have watched a few of their live shows before, and Acquisitions Incorporated, at least on their live shows, I know, tend to have a lot of humor, and it's quite entertaining to watch. A lot of it's just jokes upon jokes and NPCs that are like, "What the hell am I watching?"
It definitely is. Like when I'm running my game on Saturdays, I try to squash. I let it happen a little bit, but I try to rein them in if it happens. The Adventure League games, I just let them kind of go crazy.
Yeah,
because why not? I don't care if you die.
It's AL, man. Let them do what they want. I already know for sure that a lot of the Dungeon Crawl Classic stuff that I'm going to be running is just going to devolve into nonsense because of that system. Like, it's just kind of designed for it. I mean, I know I've already told you. I talked about it on the podcast about some of the ridiculous classes that you could play. Yeah, the Invincible Chicken and the Goat of War.
I mean, that doesn't seem to be made for that to happen, though.
No, it's not. It's not necessarily made for it, but it's there. The ability for it to happen is part of it.
That's true. And I guess there are definitely ways you have to find like the right module to run on for 5e, but you can it's flexible enough that you can kind of go crazy. I wonder if anyone's made any kind of like role for like stoogery. Like, um we have advantage and there's a new role called roll for emphasis that was made up by crap, I can't remember his name right now. Oh, Brendan Lee Mulligan.
Okay,
He has something called roll for emphasis,
I'm looking this
where
up right now because I've not heard about it.
it's an amazing system. Essentially, I'll get the actual write up here. So a roll for emphasis is, God damn it, can't find it because it's blocked on Reddit now.
I've got a YouTube video of it, but I'm not going to sit here and watch it.
All right, roll for emphasis. Sometimes a special ability or spell tells you that you have advantage or disadvantage on an ability check, a saving throw, or an attack roll. When that happens, you roll a second d20 when you make the roll. Use the higher of the two rolls if you have advantage, and use the lower of the two rolls if you have disadvantage. Roll for emphasis is a new mechanic introduced by Brendan Lee Mulligan, which increases the likelihood of having more swingy results on the d20, as it results in a higher likelihood in either a nat 1 or a natural 20. Basically, it's you're rolling 2d20s and taking the result furthest away from 10. This kind of roll could be sparsely called. This kind of roll could be sparsely called for, but makes a more definitive narrative results when employed. So if you roll two numbers equidistant from 10, such as 7 or 13, you roll again. So why would you roll for emphasis? When you call for an emphasis roll, you are in a situation where you'll likely succeed well or fail miserably. And where the middle results kind of just like don't really have any, just, yeah, you succeed. Yeah. Woo. So when you roll for emphasis, like if someone wants to jump over a fence, you could have them roll for emphasis and you take the result the furthest from the 10, and they either like tumble over it miserably
Right.
and land on the other side into a pile of mud, or they flip over it magnificently and land on their feet and they do a pose and everyone cheers and claps for them.
Okay, I follow the meaning of this. For God, what
It's
is?
for more it's for
Um,
more table comedics
well, I'm.
and show emphasis than anything.
It's not even what I'm thinking of. It's the Mercer thing. Oh God, what do they call it? I'm drawing a blank on it. Oh well, but yeah, it's the idea of it's like the rule of cool type thing. You want it to look. You just want to put more emphasis on it. Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much.
like it's in the name of the role for emphasis, but
It's
I
like when they're likely going to succeed or fail,
I
and you want it to be entertaining.
yeah, personally I do not like that at all. I don't want to add an extra die into making a roll. And I'm assuming this is for this would only be used for things that need a roll. Like
Well,
jumping.
normally it's used when you're already rolling for advantage or disadvantage.
Yeah, okay. So
So
maybe
you
maybe
just
maybe jumping a fence isn't the right one, but yeah, like
right.
uh, climbing off, or climbing up a cliff or something, that would require some sort of a roll.
Yeah.
Uh, I think if you roll an at 20, I'm going to give you just, and I do this all the time. If my players roll an at 20 on like picking locks, I will describe it as, well, you burn through that incredibly difficult lock in, less than 20 seconds. You climb in a cliff and you nat 20 it, you just see this guy bounding up this nearly straight, wall like it was absolutely nothing. I give that little description anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't need this extra die for me to do that.
And I think it's more for the players to kind of um like just either talk about how great or how terribly they succeed at something.
Yeah,
Because I
but
don't think you would roll for emphasis when it's a failure, in most cases.
yeah.
Like that's why I use jumping the fence,
Okay.
because
So
you're not going to fail it.
so if you're succeeding at this thing, you get this extra die to say you barely succeed at it or you extremely succeed at it.
That's how I've always interpreted
And
it.
that's kind of pointless because if your DC is a 15 and you roll a 16, I as the DM can determine that you barely succeeded at it. I don't need a second die to say you barely succeeded at it.
Well, like I said, you roll a tool and you take the one that's the furthest. So they would either get like an 18 and succeed, or they get like a 4.
I mean, do you fail on the 4?
Oh, I mean that's your call as a DM.
Yeah.
I mean, for roles that are like, I would say maybe like conversations you're trying to convince someone to do something, maybe it doesn't really work well for that. But like if you've watched any of not his podcast, but his D&D shows, it makes a lot of sense, especially with his DMing style, where people are like, oh, well, you're gonna succeed at that if you just want its help, but we can see how well you succeed at that if you want to roll for emphasis.
Yeah, but
and then
that's the thing, though. Like, it already kind of explained it. You don't need that extra time to determine how well someone succeeded. That roll is going to determine how they succeed if you want that to matter.
Maybe.
Say using DC 15 as an example, if you roll 16, you barely succeed. If you roll 20 or greater, you greatly succeed. Like, you can easily determine that was a whole roll. You don't need a second die for
robot
that.
Now. You're a robot now, sir. You failed your emphasis roll.
Am I roboting still?
A little bit, yeah.
Damn it.
But there's something for people to utilize. There was one last thing I wanted.
Sorry, I'll watch the video and actually get a solid description of how this thing actually works, because I don't even know who Brandon Lee Bliggett is. I know the name. Well, there's a lot of people in the D&D space. I don't know who they are. You know this.
Yeah, a lot of people I don't know either.
Yep. All right.
Speaking. Hopefully, we get our next guest on, because I have a story about that. The last thing I want to talk about is I put it in our Discord. It was an advert that came across my screen today, and it was for the Mighty Owlbear beard oil.
Mighty Owlbear beard oil. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
It's the essence of the wild, and it's basically by a company called Beard Sorcery.
I think you've mentioned them before.
I don't think so, because we've done the Hot Pockets and other things, but this is just like jumping the shark to me. Or I guess jumping the owlbear.
Yeah, it's more of jumping the owlbear.
Because we found like the D&D beers.
Yeah.
But they have a signature brand of beard products. Okay. Right now, the only one that's out is the Mighty Owlbear beard oil.
I typed the word owlbear, started the next letter B, and it immediately pulled up beard oil. So Google's listening to me, or it's
yes, it is.
Yeah, or it's the other thing.
Google is omnipresent, man.
I know.
The other two that they have pictures of is a Displacer Beast and
oh no, they're actually labeled with Dungeons and Dragons. So this is actually a D&D product.
This is an actual D&D licensed product. Yeah,
oh
Mighty Owlbear. They have a Displacer Beast, so who knows what that's going to be, and they have a Tiamat picture, so who knows what that's going to be.
I hope the Tiamat one burns.
Maybe
I hope it burns with a cool feeling afterwards.
No, I hope the Tiamat is actually a line of lady products.
Yeah.
Because would that not be the best for all the nerdy girls out there? It's a line of Tiamat-themed, like, healthcare products. With, like, a different color head for, like, a different portion of the body,
Yeah. Wait. Okay, so if you go to beardsorcery.com, go to products, and click it, they actually have scent blends. There's Dark Sorcerer, Storm Warden, Cleric's Charm, Cunning Rogue, Druid's Mist, Inspiring Bard, Berserker's Rage, Paladin's Might, and Silent Assassin. What is Silent?
Their art's pretty good too.
Okay, they're different oils. All well, how about D themed? Let's see. Iron Bard.
I mean, those aren't those. I mean, they're definitely role playing themes.
They're the roleplay theme for sure.
But those are that's the D&D. The owlbear's a D&D specific theme.
The owlbear. One.
It's also $3 more expensive.
Yeah, you can see the coming soon on under the signature brands with the Displacer Beast and the Tiamat.
Now does this top the D&D Hot Pockets that we had earlier?
I think so. Yeah, I do, because Hot Pockets, man, they're super. Everybody knows Hot Pockets. Everybody grew up fucking eating Hot Pockets. It's very, very mainstream. Once you start getting into beard oils, that's pretty niche. I mean, you're only going to get 50% of the population at best.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's all the 20 and under crowd probably aren't going to need much of it, and most of the older crowd aren't going to use it. I'm in my 40s. I've never even considered using beard oil. All that talking to guys I might want to. So
I will say though that owlbear picture is by far a better choice for an owlbear.
Well, yeah,
than they have in the current.
Purple.
It's not purple.
Yeah, that's an actual owlbear. You know, it's white, brown, with feathers and fur.
Is owlbear poultry or is it red meat?
I think if you eat the you eat the owl parts, it's poultry. If you eat the bear parts, it's gonna be red meat.
Although, how do you tell?
I don't know. I mean, you know, like I'm looking at the picture of the head as an owl, so probably if you eat anything got feathers on it, it's poultry. Anything with fur is probably red meat. That would be my guess.
I think the whole thing is just red meat.
Actually, no, it probably is all red meat because owlbears are incredibly strong, so they don't have. I doubt they have the hollow bones they have.
Yeah, they can't fly. I mean,
yeah, there's no flight to these things. So they're probably all just red meat.
Oh, and another thing I saw this weekend that I wanted to ask you was, you saw the D&D movie, and D&D movie's been out for a while now, so spoilers if you haven't seen it and you really
if you haven't seen
watch it.
You're listening to our podcast, I'm very surprised because you're obviously quite a nerd who loves D&D.
So at the end of the film, the owlbear basically jumps on top of the red wizard and smashes her into the ground, and she goes and groans, and it goes crazy again, smashes her a whole bunch, and then chucks her into the building.
Oh, yeah,
the building breaks, and
Hulk Loki scene all over again.
Yeah. So the Hulk and Loki scene from Avengers, where he basically smashed Loki back and forth. Which, between those two scenes, because they have the same exact energy, which scene is better, the Hulk and Loki scene or the owlbear and the Red Wizard scene?
I mean, I love both of those scenes. I mean, I definitely go with the Loki one though, because Loki was such an arrogant shit through the whole movie. Him getting what he deserved was this priceless.
So I love how too, like he basically at that moment, he basically his action for that turn was he was going to basically intimidate the Hulk into basically stepping down.
Yeah, failed.
And that's a case where, like, even if you roll a 20 plus all of Loki's charisma modifiers and his intimidation modifiers, it's not going to intimidate the Hulk. So that's just an auto fail no matter what. And I think that scene has spurred on many clones of it, and unfortunately, the owlbear Red Wizard would be a clone. But the owlbear Red Wizard does have the one thing where basically she chucks the Red Wizard into like the building, and the building falls on her.
Yeah,
I did like a little bit of extra oomph to it, because the other one has the Josh Whedon comedy signature to it, and this one has more of the action finality. Like, this was the final blow. This was the fatality that killed the end boss.
Yeah, we're quite
dead
from getting smacked by the owlbear. Definitely are for the quarter ton of rubble falling on that ass.
Well, I mean, It's just a massive blow, you know. It's only like a couple D10. You know, she should have survived it.
Well, they were. I'm sure they were like would have been really, really low in hit points anyway. Although, like, she was a lich, so I'm pretty sure she survived anyway. Yeah, that's how that goes. Body would have gone back to the phylactery, which is probably somewhere in Thay, and just reform within a week.
I can look up her. I don't think she was undead.
I mean, if she's just a red wizard, then all right, she's probably just dead unless she had a clone, which a lot of Thayan wizards do. But if she was an actual lich, then she's not dead because that won't kill you.
Hold on, I'm gonna look up her stats real quick.
I think her name, I already forgot. Was it Saphira?
Sophina.
Sophina.
Yeah, so she was a medium humanoid, neutral evil. At least in her prepared spell, she didn't have clone or anything like that. I think she was just I think she was gifted with some kind of immortality or maybe just long life, but she was not undead. So she wasn't a lich. She was just a necromancer. As if I had to pick a spot for her. Yeah, she had necrotic strike. She had mage hand, message, prestidigitation, bestow curse, big beast hand, dimension door, mage armor. Otluk's resilient sphere, thunder wave, Edward's black tentacles, finger of death, and time stop. So, 2 ninth level spells back to back.
We've talked about that before, which makes her over 20th level.
Well, finger of death is actually level 7.
Let's see. I'm trying to find the character.
I'm looking at it right now. It's level 7. I thought it was level 9.
Was it? Here, send me the character sheet.
Sure, I'll put it in our podcast chat channel.
Or you
should go on our Discord. She had Swarm of Meteors that was a once a day ability, not a spell. I think those are the 2 9th level things. But yeah, she is a CR 15, so that's pretty high up there. Bringing the rest of the crew was like all CR 5s. The Paladin guy, Zank, he was CR 10, but his abilities with the sword were very flashy on the film, but it just don't hold up in a real game. I don't think.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's dead. Maybe she get raised or something, but
I mean, honestly, I don't think it matters because they're not making another movie.
Well, they may actually.
I mean, I certainly hope they do.
It probably lower budget and direct to a streaming service.
Yeah,
but
straight to Amazon or Paramount or whoever the hell has rights to
it. From what I read in the last article is that the movie was deemed a success.
Well, that's good.
Not a like blockbuster success, but it was deemed a success. They made enough money to recoup back the funds. People are signing up to Paramount to watch the film. It's got a lot of traffic on actual streaming media, so people are watching it. The merchandise sales sold out pretty much everywhere.
Like I generally pick up Paramount Plus a couple times a year just to watch all the stuff on there I want to see. I'll probably be picking it up within the month because I think season 2 of Beavis and Butthead's about over with, and I'll have to watch all of those. But I will definitely just watch the D&D movie again once I pick it up. So, because it was a good.
I really
movie.
wish they would give the owlbear the slam attack that it had.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's a tabletop game, so just give it to it. Just make it. Make it yourself.
I want it to be official.
Yeah,
I want there to be the sweet smelling owlbear.
I think Dungeon Crawl Classics already has ruined me, and I haven't even run the damn game yet because now my thought process on everything is just do it.
Yeah, I want the sweet smelling owlbear that uses the mighty owlbear beard oil for its like little tuft around its face.
I don't think any owlbear could afford that beard oil, so it's like $22 for a little vial of it, and a single owlbear has way more fur than that bottle is going to cover.
Well, you're not supposed to drown yourself in it.
Well, you have to.
The owlbear's not a teenager at a LARP.
Axe body spray is not deodorant.
Or shower.
Or shower. Just like everybody at conventions.
No.
All right.
Well, that's all I had for this week. Next week, big week.
Yep. Another big week coming up, but I think we're going to go play some Diablo now.
All right, whatever.
Yep. Bye, Craig.
Yeah, Craig.